shouldn't take too long. Now, do you have to set this up every time?
Oh, no.
Or you just leave it here? Oh, okay, I was wondering about that.
No, there ain't no way.
No, I'm gonna let them know.
I'm just gonna call the meeting to order, and then just do the start with all the others.
Whatever your preference is, but I just.
Oh, no, I'm reading the whole thing.
We want our money's worth.
Oh, there's 51 on there too, right?
Yes, sir.
So we'll probably just read the whole thing. It's like I tell people, whether I have 2 people or 100 people in the pews, they're getting the same service.
Oh, well, for sure, but this, I don't know if you need to give instructions on the.
That's true.
The actual, like,
I know.
coming to the podium thing.
I know.
That's what I'm talking about. Because. But I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not. Yum.
Brenner, love it.
Brenner?
Brenner.
I really hate Thanksgiving. Like every day. Who's that conference? Who's that conference? She's on her way to conference. And I'll be at conference in the morning. Where is it? Athens. Dana, I think, is in Macon.
Are you driving tonight or in the morning?
In the morning. I was, but I'm like, I'm not a nighttime driver. I don't even wanna set myself up.
Where's your conference?
In Athens.
I know, where?
The Classic Center.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I get to go in a couple weeks. I get to speak even.
Have 6 o'clock.
Same time.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Douglasville Planning Commission meeting. I am Francisco Artley, the chairman of the Planning Commission. The other members of the Planning Commission are Keith Burnett, the vice chair, Natalie Fegan, Nathan Zachary, Ralph Bennett, and Mark Van. Staff members are Miranda Jordan, staff attorney, Dana Gray, community development director, Chelsea Tubbs, planning and zoning administrator, and Camille Brown, planner 1. Tonight, after each case is called, we will hear from the staff regarding any relevant information to this case. The commission members will be free to ask questions at any time before voting on a project. Following the applicant, anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project will have an opportunity to ask questions. The city ordinance restricts each side to a maximum of 20 minutes, or time may be waived at the discretion of the presiding official. If questions are raised, we may ask the applicant to speak again. Afterward, we will call for a motion, a second, have any necessary discussion regarding the item. Then we will vote to recommend approval or a denial of the application. This commission is only a recommending body. The items will be heard by the mayor and council, whether we recommend approval or recommend denial. All items will be heard by the city's mayor and council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, October 30th, and then voted upon by them at the meeting on the following Monday, November 3rd. First item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from September 9th, 2025. Are there any need for discussion?
No.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our September 9th meeting.
Do I have a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes have passed and are approved. Is there any old business? All right. First case is item 25-428, hold a public hearing and consider a proposed ordinance to amend subsection 2.02, 2.05, 4.03B, 4.04B, 4.05B, 4.07B, 4.08B, 4.11C, 5.03B, 5.04B, and 5.05B of the Unified Development Ordinance to provide additional clarification regarding gas station requirements and special land use permits. Application by the City of Douglasville. Chelsea Tubbs will now present the item.
Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners. Chelsea Tubbs, Planning and Zoning Administrator, 6695 Church Street. Is that better? Sorry. I'll try to make this as painless as possible. So today before you all, we have a text amendment to just add on some additional restrictions and stipulations for special land use permits and gas canopies for our allowed use for gas convenience gas stations. Essentially, for special land use permit requirements, the city has seen a notable increase in both existing convenience gas stations and new development proposals, many of which required rezoning applications and are often clustered together within the same vicinity. So to further address these concerns, staff is proposing amendments to section 2.02, which is your allowed uses table in the Unified Development Ordinance. Currently, in most zoning designations, gas stations are outright permitted. Those would include your NC Neighborhood Commercial, RMP Regional Marketplace, GC General Commercial, OD Office Distribution, LI, and HI, which is light industrial and heavy industrial. And it includes currently special land use permits for zoning designations of office, institutional, and your mixed use of NRC Neighborhood Residential Commercial. So the proposal that staff is proposing is to change all outright zoning designations to require special land use permit approvals, and for those OI and NRC to remain under the current requirement of special land use permit approvals. In addition, over the past year, you all probably have noticed and received some variances yourself to kind of review variances along with special land use permits or other rezoning applications to allow gas canopy structures, also noted as accessory structures in the Unified Development Ordinance, to allow those gas canopies in the front yard for the use of convenience gas station developments. The code currently restricts accessory structures. Those would include those gas canopy structures to be utilized in the side or the rear yards. Staff is proposing an amendment to provide additional clarification as it relates to those gas canopy accessory structures. These changes would include making amendments to provide additional verbiage to several of our lot development standard sections for commercial, industrial, and mixed-use zoning designations. Essentially, the lot development standards will just kind of tell you how you would need to develop your property. That includes like setbacks and height and anything like that. So accessory structures will also fall within that lot development standards. We are also proposing additional information within section 2.05, use regulation and restrictions, to include the following additional information for convenience gas stations. which will be added as a subsection 2.05 NN. It would just have those additional information to say they are placed in the front yard at a distance as proposed on the site plan and approved by mayor and council as part of the special land use permit process. And the primary use of business must be a convenience gas station, otherwise NATES code 44711. In review of the chart that you all have, you might see, you'll see the information notated in red under the lot development standards portion. They're kind of a little different for each zoning designation, just depending on the zoning designation the person is applying for. And you will continue to, we're also asking to continue to restrict any other accessory structures to the rear and side yard that, other than canopy accessory structures. That's all I have.
Are there any questions from the board?
So, just to summarize, because you said a bunch.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
all gas stations will have to have a special land use permit,
That's correct.
and they have a different requirement if they have that canopy, or what is the requirement for the canopy?
So currently, the code restricts any accessory structures, whether it's a canopy, shed, any of those things, to be located within the side or the rear yard. So because we have had such an influx of different variances to require, to ask for the gas canopy to be utilized in the front, we're proposing a text amendment to allow gas canopies in the front, essentially because it's just like, you know, I think it's just a common thing that most gas canopies are in the front. So we're asking for a text amendment to allow gas canopy accessory structures specifically to be allowed in the front yard, while other accessory structures are still, will still remain to be placed in the side and rear.
Okay, other accessory structures that not related to gas stations?
Correct.
And then you said something about setback, because I think we had a situation where a case like this came before us.
Mm-hmm.
On
And I
Veterans
went home and
Memorial,
did a lot of research
yeah.
and was concerned that the gas station was so close to a subdivision. Are there any any type of regulations around that?
Not for this text amendment, no. This is strictly just for special land use permit approvals for gas station use, and then the gas canopy structure, accessory structure within the front yard.
So then, kind of like the one gas station we had where they were asking for 3 variances. I think it was because it was the canopy, it was the setback, it was the location where they were at. They still have to do that if the canopy is going to infringe on the,
What do you mean still have to do?
they still have to request those variances, or will
Well-
it just go through that?
Not for the canopy, but if they are asking to do any setback changes, they will have to go through with variances for the setback changes.
The canopy will be, I think what you're asking is how close or far does the
Right.
canopy have to be? That's gonna be determined by a site plan that they have to submit that's basically part of the zoning
Okay,
or, part of the special land use permit where it's approved with X setback for the front yard canopy. Does that make sense?
yes, because I remember there had to be a certain feet that the canopy had to be set back, and this one wasn't. They asked for a variance to,
Right, because any structure, thinking about it this way, any structure is gonna be required to be a certain distance back
Right.
under a lot of different parts of our code, whether it's a house, whether it's just a regular commercial building, depending on whatever zoning classification it's in. But this is kind of like a PUD where the zoning is tied to a site plan
okay.
with the proposed changes to the gas station use. That setback would be tied. So if they came in and they said, we want to do 5 feet from the road, well, that may be something that they would have to come back and with a better option, because that may be too close depending on the circumstances. But it may be just fine depending on the circumstances of where it is. So that's going to be specifically tied to the approval as kind of like a condition almost.
Okay. Did you have a question?
Yeah, that, on that same topic, because we didn't specify, we just used at a distance proposed. So there's no minimum to start with. Basically, it's just, you know, the structure itself, right? We got setback, the building's built, now the pumps are there. Okay, now we need they want a canopy, for example. And then we don't start them out with a minimum. You gotta at least be 5 feet, you know, a setback, or 10 feet. They just come in, propose it. They may come in and request a 0 setback based on, you know, the space they wanna use, and then it'd just be up to us and council to determine whether or not
Whether that's appropriate.
that's gonna be
Right.
appropriate or not.
That's
Okay.
right. And I would venture to guess that staff is going to give them a little bit of that information when they
Yeah.
have their pre-application meeting, before they even submit an application for a special land use permit. They meet with city staff, the fire marshal, water and sewer authority. So there's a lot of different agencies that are involved in that discussion that just kind of give basic preliminary feedback before they even turn in their paperwork. So we would be able to tell them, well, 0 is not gonna work, but
Right.
maybe we can work with 10 or 15, you know,
I
or,
got it.
based on this site, it might be appropriate to do even further back. But that would be decided case by case.
Okay, that's what I was looking for, like, okay, we gotta give them
Right, and
You
and
know,
so
start
we're
point.
not giving them that parameter necessarily in this ordinance,
got it.
but staff would be working with the applicant to bring in something reasonable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just gonna be denied, and then they don't want that, because then it has to sit there for 6 months, so, before they can
yeah.
reapply. So staff would be working with the applicant on a realistic number for that.
All right, I didn't know if that left us, without giving a initial starting point, that left us open for,
Well, and if that is
Pushback.
something that you
Yeah.
all would like to recommend as an amendment to the proposed changes, to say minimum of 10 feet setback, and then if they wanted something less than that, they would have to potentially apply for a variance with that special land use permit.
Well, what does the current UDO say? I can't remember.
So the current UDO doesn't give,
It-
it's not allowed.
It-
So any structure in the front yard is not allowed, which is
Okay.
the reason for the text amendment today. But I can mention that in previous codes, when gas canopy structures were allowed, it was at a 25-foot minimum.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So it would be up to your discretion if you wanted to make a recommendation with a proposed amendment setting a minimum setback for the accessory canopy.
I think we should keep it at 25.
I think it should stay at 25.
yeah.
And if they want a
They've gotta come and
variance,
ask anyway, so, yeah, I think we'll at least, you know, we'll kind of give a baseline. And I was just concerned about it from the perspective of, you know, someone coming in and saying, well, your development plan doesn't specify, so how do you hold me to something like this that you didn't ask for? And
Right.
that's why I was asking the question,
So if
pertaining to that.
when it comes time to make a motion, if you would make the motion to either recommend or deny, if you vote to recommend, then that would be with the amended condition that minimum setback from the front yard would be 25 feet for the canopy accessory.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
The other question I had was, and this seems, maybe I'm confused, like front, so that's the front of that gas station.
So it'll include any frontage, so any event that it faced two different frontages, like if it was like along like Highway 5, and I'll just hypothetically say this, like
Yeah, yeah,
Bright
yeah.
Star, if it has like 2 frontages,
Yeah.
just depending on where they have their gas canopy structure, which frontage they have it on, it'll apply to that.
Okay, that's what I was kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, what if they said, well, our front door is over here. but,
Yeah.
You know, this is your biggest part of the property. So that's what I was curious about. Okay,
Well, and it would already be allowed in the side setback.
and the
Right.
side,
Right.
yeah.
In a case where somebody wanted to put it in back, or they wanted a front and a back, you'll see that sometimes on either side of the building. That would already be an allowed accessory structure.
And just based off how big it is, we
Yeah.
already have, the footage requirements. Like, I think if it's on the side, if it's less than 144 square feet, it's about 5 feet or so. Yeah,
something
and then
like
if it's
that.
bigger, it's about 15.
Okay.
feet.
So the QT, just, and again, I'm trying to check, the QT that, the newest QT that is on 92, where the car wash on the corner,
Mhm.
whatever, now that canopy's on the side. Appears to me it's on the side of that facility, I get it. But the one that's on Highway 5, that canopy is in the front, and this a newer gas station. So
Mhm.
if we didn't allow front canopies, how did they get one? That's what I'm trying to,
They-
applied for a variance.
they did, okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
got it.
And there have been a number of applications within the past year, just because people could put a gas station in a certain zoning as just by right. You
Yeah,
know, they
yeah.
could go in a general commercial,
Yeah.
or a couple of the other zoning classifications. But they couldn't put that front canopy there
Right.
by right. They had to
Yeah.
get extra permission just to do that.
Right.
So that was the variance that came in. This way, they won't have to get a variance, but they're still gonna have to come before the planning
They
commission
meet some
and
requirements.
council to get the special land use permit.
Got it,
Right.
got
And
it,
then
That
a
way,
few
we
of
have
those-
some control over
got it.
that
Now
development
I'm
process.
really clear now,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good,
got it. And then
good.
a few of those did not come strictly to you all, as you know, that if it's not accommodated with a rezoning or a special land use permit, if it's just a variance, outright, it would just go straight to council. So some of
Yeah.
those, canopy amendments, you all, I mean, not amendments, canopy variances you all did not, see, just based on that.
All right, I just got one more question.
Sure.
And that is, will this now affect or give opportunity for existing gas stations to say that didn't have one on the front? Now they want one on the front, would this allow them to do that now?
They could, but they would have to come in and get a special land use permit. So what they're
Okay.
basically doing is, they can do it, whatever they're currently doing by right, but they would have to come in and now.
still gotta go
now
through the
They would have to
process, but-
basically rezone their own property
Got
Right.
it.
with the special land use permit. So
Got it.
Right.
unless they just really wanted to build a new structure there, I don't think that that's likely. They could though.
Yeah, I was just curious if that permitted them, if that they can now come in and say, you know, we want front, and since we have, it's okay now without a variance, we just need a special land use permit.
Right.
Right, so then they would come before you all,
Right.
and then they would come before council based on you all's recommendation.
I'm good.
All right. Are there any more questions or need for discussion? Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion, to approve, I recommend approval of this motion if we include a minimum setback. I think currently we were talking about 25 feet. So I would like to have that, stipulation included in the recommendation.
So we have a motion to approve the application with a 25-foot setback. Is that correct? Yeah, that's not,
On the
front side.
setback.
I second.
Second. All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes and the application is recommended for approval and will be heard by the city's mayor and council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, October 30th, and then voted upon them at their meeting on the following Monday, November 3rd. All right. Are there any staff reports?
Just kind of wanted to send you all a little reminder. I'll also send it via email. As you all know, chapter 34, under Ewell's laws, definitions and things, it says that you all do not have to meet for planning commission in November. So just wanted to let you all know we will not be sending out any information for November. You all will just get information for your December meeting to come.
Which is December 2nd, right?
Correct.
Yes. All right. Is there anything else? All righty. If there's nothing else, I make a motion that we adjourn.
A second.